you had another relationship.
Yeah.
Very public relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That people, it was weird because you guys shared a lot, but you didn't share a lot. Like we saw photos and we saw it happen and people were invested because he kind of manifested it in a way.
Yeah, I think, when it comes to me in relationships, there's a lot of times people don't even see who I date, right? And with that one, it just felt special enough to share. You know what I mean? I think we both on the same page. And then it's like, I don't believe you have to give it all to show that you're together, but it just felt right.
You were having fun too, it seemed like. You were having fun with it.
For sure. I think, it felt right. And like it didn't, like we both have our own thing going on. It's like, cool, like both these worlds came together. It's cool. Like we can share it.
And you've been quiet lately. Are you guys together still or no?
No.
No.
I'm not with him.
No.
Yeah. Not by choice, but I respect him. It's all love. Like
it's not your choice?
I wouldn't have chose it, but it was what was best. But I wouldn't have chose it, no.
What are you saying to me right now, Angela Simmons?
I'm saying that I'm a lover. I love love. I love relationships.
This man proclaimed that he wanted to get with Angela Simmons. This man pursued you. He proclaimed it in front of everybody that he wants Angela Simmons. So you're not telling me that he ended. Did he end the relationship or did?
No, it was my choice. I had to make a decision, but I think there's a certain level of what I can share and would share publicly. You know what I mean? And I can publicly say that I'm not with him anymore. But as far as details, I would just never.
It's not your style.
Nah.
So, all right, let's go back a little bit because a lot of you may not be familiar with the Angela Simmons that I grew up watching. And a lot of the Angela Simmons that I grew up watching largely came from Run's house, right? And so, I remember watching Diggy and Angela and the other girl, whatever, so on and so forth. And the whole idea was that they were good kids. They were Rev's kids, And so to kind of see her get involved with a dude that was for the streets or in the streets and stuff like that was really interesting because it always seems like oil in water. You know what I'm saying? A good girl getting with the bad guy. And then now it never really works out because I'm not really sure that it ever was going to be a thing. But she loved love, but he in the streets. And who's to say that he would ever even really get married because he really just always got motion and options. So it's a weird dynamic. But largely the interpretation that I'm taking from it is that he was never going to change. And that's not what she wanted to be a part of. But here's the thing that I'm saying. Why would you ever put yourself in that situation in the first place? But it just shows that the nature of women is always going to be what it is. And it doesn't matter whether or not she was supposedly the good girl. Because, I don't know how much you can really say she the good girl. That was the image. Obviously, she was raised in a strong household. But, it's so weird to think about Run's kids, and the evolution of how things turned out. When it seems like he was a really good guy, and now she's talking about, it was her choice, but she can't really talk about it. And I don't know if that's because of NDAs and legal purposes or whatever, but it doesn't even really matter. All we can do is take it at face value. And the reality is, it's crazy. It's insane to think about that, these women really believe that. The game is the game, and it's always going to be the same, and it's never going to change. But these women do really believe that these guys are going to evolve, or they're going to change, or they're going to be any different. And who we are when you meet us is usually who we are when it's going to be over, or what you're going to have to be a part of. And if you're not a part of that, people getting killed, beef with Young Dolph and all of that and stuff. Man, it don't even make sense. Like, why is she? Why don't these type of women, and this is the question that we have to ask ourselves, why don't these type of women end up with good guys or quote unquote good guys, squares, whatever you want to call it?
I'm just not that girl. I'm just not that girl ever to share that much more. Other than we're not together.
Yeah, and he's not really that type either. So
yeah, that's my vibe though. Like I said, I could have probably been in and out of 4 or 5 other relationships people would have never known and got my feelings hurt or not or whatever, and I just wouldn't speak on it because some stuff is just better left unsaid, I feel like. So I just leave
Yeah,
things
your
alone.
relationship
It's
is
just that it was
between you and
so
the person.
public.
I know.
That's the hard part. Do you regret that in a way or no?
No.
Because now there's curiosity.
I know.
Now people want to know what happened.
I know.
But I understand that.
I just, again, like, much love and respect to him, and just like, he's doing his thing. I'm happy for him.
Ran its course.
You do want the type of chick that's not messy. So I will give her that much credit in that she not messy out here in these streets, telling everybody business and all of that stuff. And again, I don't know if she really could, but it seemed like she hurt, but she not necessarily bitter. Does that make sense?
That season is past.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there heartbreak involved?
My feelings were involved.
Your feelings, yeah.
Yeah. It is hard. I feel like for me with relationships, because I get really invested, and I'm like in.
She
When
ain't
I'm
want to
in love,
not be
I'm in
there.
love.
She
Like,
wanted to
which
be with
means like
that dude.
I'm staying with you. But yeah, my feelings, it didn't feel good to not be with him.
What is that coming to an end unto you, or what have you learned about love? Or
I mean, you just never know. I'm a lover. I love, and I've been in relationships where I think, this is it, we're getting married, and then I'm not married. So here I am, and then just life can be just really unpredictable, I think, often.
How come, y'all don't question, because a lot of times we look at the surface of it, we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. But do y'all ever wonder, like, why these type of women never could really pick the right guy or stay in a relationship or any of that type of stuff? Like, there's always going to be, and I'm not saying that there's something wrong with her, but it may be something wrong with her choices, but then she was raised in a good household. Like, y'all don't ever wonder that. Y'all don't ever just think to yourselves, like, man, how come this chick ain't stable with a whole bunch of kids chilling off the grid and we don't know nothing about her when she seems to be such a good person?
And it's really hard for me, I would say, to date too, because I feel like the woman that people watch, they fantasize who that is, and they don't know me. So then maybe, and I'm not speaking specifically on him, I'm saying in general, like, then you get in a relationship with me and you're like, oh, I thought you were like this. I'm like, bro, like, that was like 5 seconds of my life. Like, this is who I am.
Right.
You know what I mean? And not that that's
So she really ain't the good girl.
a bad thing, but you can have a fantasy of what a girl is, like, and then, like, you get them and they're a bit different.
What is the fantasy of you?
I don't know. I might need to get a guy in here and interview him, because I have had a lot of guys that said, like, they, like, oh, I have a crush or I like you. And I'm just like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Based
like,
on what? Like, what part
you sure
of
you like me?
Yeah.
Do you know? You know what I mean? But I think that's a hard part for me, is like growing up on TV from 17 to now is like, you think that's who I am, and who I really am is like this way versus that way or whatever.
The core of it is, from my perspective, is that they all kind of the same. I don't pedestalize women. I don't think that any of them is better than the other. I think that most women is just a reflection of the men that they talk to. Honest to God. Like, I just don't. I think that men that do that, men that live in this fantasy world of placing women all up here, they don't really know her, because it's somebody that really got the most out of her. It's somebody out there really know her. Somebody really out there know her. And y'all running around placing these women on these high levels. But in reality, if you get with any of them behind the scenes, they all pretty much fit the same narrative. Obviously, some of them are a little bit more difficult than others, but the nature of the woman is still the same. And if you see a woman that is well kept or put together, I think that largely, or she's carrying herself a certain way, I think that that's largely a reflection of the guy that she's with. But I could be wrong. Y'all let me know what y'all think inside of the chat. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Peace.